If you remember that, you're really good. And you ever get access to it.
Okay. We are now live on YouTube. So we're ready to go. We're recording and we're live.
And you ever get access to it.
Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. This is the Monday, July 20th, 2020 meeting of the Town of Unicoi Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And if everyone will stand, Lawrence Davis will lead the invocation, and Alderman Radford will lead in the pledge of allegiance.
May we pray. Oh God, our Creator, Sustainer of all life, we ask your presence to be here with us in this meeting. We thank you for this town and for its efforts for the betterment of the lives of our citizens. We thank you for our citizens here, Lord. Thank you for what we enjoy in this beautiful community and the spirit of the people that live here. We just pray that you would guard, guide, and direct all that's said and done here, and it may be pleasing in thy sight. In the name I pray.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting, subject to board approval, will allow members to participate electronically or by other means. Citizens wishing to submit comments to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen may do so by submitting comments on the Town of Unicoi website by mailing to the following address: P.O. Box 39, Unicoi, Tennessee 37692, or calling the Town of Unicoi at 423-735-0517, or by dropping off at the Town Hall drop box located in the Unicoi Drive vestibule. Could we now have the roll call, please? Please answer here. I can see participants. I can hear participants. Roll call.
Alderman Bullen. Here, I can see participants. I can hear participants. Alderman Radford. Here, I can see participants. I can hear participants. Alderman Linville.
Here, I can see participants, I can hear participants.
Vice Mayor Hodgson.
Here, I can see participants, I can hear participants.
Mayor Lynch.
Here, I can see participants. I can hear participants. Okay, we're down to item 5. Board of Mayor and Aldermen consider necessity of meeting electronically to protect public health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Item 6, Board of Mayor and Aldermen should adopt.
Mayor, please that would require a motion for an approval of that meeting electronically.
I do number 6 with it, though. That's the way it's on the agenda. So, Board of Mayor and Aldermen should adopt executive orders and procedures for meeting electronically. And I will now entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for question.
Alderman Bullen. Yes. Alderman Radford. Yes. Alderman Linville.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hodgson.
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. Okay, under item 7, Lord Davis will review the meeting etiquette for virtual meetings.
With the governor's extension of the order for meeting in this format, the meeting etiquette cannot change. Requirement basically is not to speak over each other. If you're in conflict, you or someone are not speaking, and just basically to guard the other parties so that all people can be seen to participate.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 8, the approval of the June 15th, 2020 Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on those minutes? Call for question.
Alderman Bowen. Yes. Alderman Radford. Yes. Alderman Linville.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. Under item 9, old business, none. Under 10, unfinished business. Under 11, new business. This is ordinance 2020-276. Consideration and approval of ordinance 2020-276. Ordinance modifying ordinance 2012-219, establishing regulations governing retail liquor stores in the town of Unicoi. An ordinance modifying ordinance 2012-2019, establishing regulations governing retail liquor stores in the town of Unicoi, Tennessee. Whereas the citizens of the town of Unicoi voted in a referendum allowing the operation of off-premise retail liquor stores within the town of Unicoi, and upon certification by the election commission, the town residents have approved the operation of such package stores, and whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen has the responsibility and authority to establish guidelines and regulations for an off-premise retail liquor store, including governing these components of the certificate of compliance and other requirement allowed through the Tennessee Code. And whereas ordinance 2012-219 provided in the part as follows: 8-2083F, a retailer must currently be a resident of the state of Tennessee and must have been a resident of Tennessee for 2 years immediately preceding the day the application is filed. Whereas by governing case law issued since 2012, such Tennessee resident requirement is not permitted. Now therefore be ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, that Title 8, Chapter 2, intoxicating liquors of the Unicoi Municipal Code be amended to delete the former section 8-2083F and changing former section 8-2083G to section 8-2013F. In all other respects, ordinance 2012-219 shall remain the same. This ordinance shall take effect from and after its final passage by the public welfare required. I will entertain a motion.
Yes.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd like to ask old Lois what she interprets, what's the difference?
This is updating our ordinance, time our ordinance was passed in 2012, restrictions on residents were permitted. Since then, case law said that's not permitted, so we're just bringing our ordinance in compliance with the case law.
For discussion. Call the question.
Alderman Bowen. Yes. Alderman Radford. Yes. Alderman Linville.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes. Next item, item B, is ordinance 2020-277. Consideration and approval of ordinance 2020-277, ordinance to further regulate parking on public right of way within the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, and to repeal ordinance 2015-244. And it reads: ordinance 2020-277, an ordinance to further regulate parking on public right of way within the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, and repeal ordinance 2015-244. Whereas it is appropriate for the town of Unicoi Board of Mayor and Aldermen to provide for regulations to promote public health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, and to provide for safe and secure travel in the town and in and around highway exits within the town. Now therefore be it ordained that ordinance 10-201 is amended to as follows. Section 5 is replaced by new section 5, A, it is hereby prohibited and decreed to be a violation of this ordinance, except as set forth herein for any motor vehicle as defined within the statutes of the state of Tennessee, incorporated into the ordinances of the town of Unicoi, Tennessee, to park on the public rights of way within the town of Unicoi unless parking in an area designated by the town of Unicoi for public parking. B, the prohibition set out in section 5A shall extend beyond the paved right of way to the full extent and edge of the right of way dedicated to the town of Unicoi or the state of Tennessee. Former section 5 is now new. Section 6, the penalty for such violation of this ordinance shall be punishable as a Class C misdemeanor with a fine of up to $50 plus the town of Unicoi municipal court costs. Former section 6 is now new. Section 7, all other provisions of ordinance 10-201, except as modified herein, shall remain in full force and effect. Section 8, ordinance 2015-244 is hereby repealed. This ordinance shall take effect, and after its final passage, the public welfare requirement. I will entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
What prompted this change?
Pardon?
What prompted this change?
Would you speak to that?
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
The enrollment of the new statute, which had not yet been enrolled in our books, was reviewed through the code promulgation office, and they pointed out that ordinance 10-2001 and ordinance 2015 and 244 were not consistent. My recollection is that 10-2001 was about stopping, standing, and parking. And with 2015-244, we did some additional restrictions on parking, but it didn't say that it repealed the parking sections of 10-2001. So what this does is incorporates the provisions of 2015-244 into 10-2001 with the addition of the following: that there will be no parking on the public rights of way unless parking in an area designated the town for public parking. What it prompted that addition was there was some difficulty with tractor trailers being parked on the public right of way and blocking traffic and creating a hazard. So we added that section just about parking, not stopping and starting and all the other things. And so it was viewed by the code commission as not being consistent. So this is just going to clean that up. And there is, I'll point out, the mayor's already pointed out, I think there's a typo.
It's the same thing we started enforcing, same thing, exact same thing. Tractor trailer stepped down, blocking Buffalo Valley motel.
That was what led. I think there's been some problems down at Walmart too. That was what led to 15-244 being passed. And the code commission thought that there ought to be more congruity between those two statutes. So this just incorporates 15-244 into 10-2001 and then adds that part about unless parking in an area designated by the town for public parking. If the town says this right of way can be used to park, then we can do that. And that neither one statute said that. So that's
Who is this code commission? I've never heard of these before. Who is this code commission?
When we pass ordinances after a period of time, and we used to do it, I think annually or semi-annually, it had not been done for a while. We sent all the ordinances to them, and they review them and then codify them and put them together in our county code, town code.
And Hardy, that group one time updated this under good Bob.
And then we've been waiting for years
We still
to
ain't
have
got
it done.
the money we paid
Now,
out.
this is one of the things they wanted us to do in order to send us a new updated code.
We didn't hear anything out of them, but we paid $4,000, $2,000 a year or something to get that done. Remember?
Well, I think we didn't do it some years. We didn't pay them some years. We didn't sit it down there. So they reviewed a large block of ordinances. I think maybe the intern pulled them all, sent them down there. And they wrote back to us and said, these two need to be aligned a little better. So that's what this is for, is to get it to them in a format that they can put in the code and say that's what you put in that section. So 2015 -234 just being incorporated into 2000.
Okay, so in 10-2001, 201. Section 1 says, no person shall stop, stand, or park. And then it has all these measurements that you're not allowed to stop, stand, or park. Okay, and then if you go back over to what was the section 5, section 1, it says shall not apply to solid waste vehicle while on the paved or improved main travel portion of the road. Blah, 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 blah. That has been removed. So what is Wolf Tree supposed to do when they're cutting lines? What is Urban Utilities, the water company? What are they to do when they are working alongside the road? Is this a violation of the code?
May I look at what you're now?
10-201,
I
the
don't
original
copy.
section 5.
Yeah, I don't copy that.
They'd be exempt all these workers.
They should be exempt. I don't think this allows them to be exempt.
It's pretty down to.
I don't think that, what if our guys were walking alongside the road, or the digger digging out a ditch? I mean, I don't think there's an exemption on the new wording. I don't think there's an exemption in the new wording. And I've looked at state stopping, standing, or parking.
I think one of the problems we had, there was a tractor trailer parked down there on Unicoi Drive road at a very dangerous
That's where
spot.
he got hit. That place
Kid
where
got
getting on
hit
bus.
out, getting off the school bus. And, that's one of the things brought off.
I mean, it would even qualify for school buses that have to stop and sit and wait on kids that come out of their houses and get in, unless there's an exemption.
I see this is not a signed copy of this. I think there's another section 5. So I'll just have to go back and look, go and table this and look at section 5. I think there's another section 5. And what makes me think that is that we moved the numbering of some of these on down. So let me just check. I think this is replacing another section 5.
There'd be a lot of exemptions like urban utilities.
Yeah, there'd be a whole lot. So
I think wouldn't the people like
Should be.
Harley been doing that, they would realize that too, running that back to safety would make sense that they would.
There you go.
I don't know what we're gonna do with the motion on the table, but I'd like to amend somebody. You can have to amend your motion to table it.
Or should we just table it for y'all?
Yeah, let me, she produced a copy here that the numbering is different on what I'm looking at. Let me find.
And this is the one my house right sent me, all the ordinances on the zip drive. So if there's another ordinance, I didn't get the right copy anyway. So somebody sent out the correct copies.
Let me compare what you've got there to what I was working from, which I think is a sign one, but I think we should table it.
I'll make a motion to table it.
With the withdraw the motion.
Withdraw the motion and make a motion to table it till next. meeting.
My second.
Okay, one, after, to withdraw the motion. Table it, correct. Okay, no, any further discussion? Call the question.
Alderman Boyd. Yes. Alderman Radford. Yes. Alderman Lincoln.
Yes.
Dr. Fair Hudson.
Yes.
Mayor Hand.
Okay. We're down to report of officers and committees. Report on that. Hopefully it'll be electronic. B, disaster and emergency plan.
That's report, but I hate about it, earned it, though, like, we always get for all this, we would do it all the time, that's they boards, we do all that, but we really hate it all,
It's been a rough week for 2 weeks.
Cleanup committee, Alderman Linville,
Nothing on that.
Unicoi Business Alliance,
Yeah, the Pinnacle Trail Challenge is looking kind of doubtful right now, because of all of the restrictions, all the different things they have to do. I'm not really hopeful on that. We'll keep working and talking about different things, but it's not looking promising.
Fall in line with all the other things that we've been.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have separate start times for
Yeah,
basically everybody.
okay, history committee, that is not here, they've not met. First Tennessee Human Resource Agency, Eric Hobson.
I didn't go, did you go that day?
They had their annual meeting and, not much to report on that. It was, everybody spread out over a room. We'll be
I can
busy.
see that.
Yeah. Planning Commission,
Okay, under the planning commission, there was no new business. We had the old business. There was a motion made, granted the grant for a public meeting with the DAPC by request of the Unicoi Planning Commission. Concerned citizen, that's all I think it's old business to talk about, and it is set for a electronic meeting on the asphalt plant on 28th, Lord, you know, the date on that electronic meeting. 28th of this month, 6 o'clock. I believe. That's all that was planned. And in zoning appeals, we had one for the zoning appeals board that was approved, Crosby with Ingram on Tennessee Street. It's building, tearing down a building, put a new garage there. We given a variance to the alley just in case it didn't really need it, but we did give a variance to the alley there. We built it back the same, like a 40 to 31 garage on Tennessee Street, so it was approved.
Decorating committee, Animal Welfare Board, Board.
I don't have anything specific. It's been running on minimal function with COVID. All of the staff, because one of the staff had fever and was sickly one day, all of the staff got tested. Everybody came back negative, except the one probably got strep throat. While like quarantined, and it being back open now still is having very little activity. But again, it's the wearing of the mask. Nobody can come in without one. Everybody has one with one. It's just all that same stuff, and it's suffering the consequences of COVID. People just aren't doing
I went down to town hall for the meeting the other day. Wasn't anybody there. People there at town hall told me they had canceled the meeting. We didn't get a notice on that. We didn't get any kind of notice.
Everybody generally gets notified by email, so I'll make sure the email gets in for somebody to do the notification. What email would you like me to make sure gets added?
We need to
Anyone?
get a notification here at town hall.
Okay, Deborah, can I do an email for you?
Yeah, city management at unicorn.net.
Management at got it. Okay, so any emails about the animal welfare board will come to that email. Yes. Okay, thank you.
911 board, that's a report that we may want to mention.
Yes, the ambulance is very close to going live. There is one signature that is needed for Medicare to allow the ambulance service to do the billing themselves. And once that gets finally approved, then we'll be going live with the thing. Our next meeting is August the 10th at 4 p.m. at our conference room in the back of the old hospital. It was the waiting room for the emergency room. And at that time, we're hoping that we'll be very close to actually taking over the ambulance service.
How's the mud situation there? Are they starting to get?
They will need to, it'll be a 2-month period between billing and the time that they start getting money in. And they will be requesting a little bit from the town and a lot from the county to seed money to get it started.
Are they going to request the money in writing? to the
Yes,
town?
Kevin Copas will be sending a letter in writing. To request, he mentioned 100,000 out of the 174 from the county and a proportionate percentage from the county's money, whatever exactly. And he will send you some.
They talk much about the availability of meeting electronically.
I've not heard them say anything about meeting electronically. Our last meeting, the conference room was large enough to where we could stay 6 feet apart, a chair in between each other, and they've not said anything on the.
Thank you. Mountain Harvest Kitchen, Lee Manning.
I do have a report. I gave a couple handouts this afternoon before you guys walked in, or as you guys were walking in. June, the kitchen was rented for 125 hours to our 6 processing members. So that first page, which is kind of a nice visual that shows June this year to June last year through our scheduling platform. In previous years, June has been pretty busy, so we're seeing that trend continue even considering the COVID crisis. We're still being vigilant with cleaning and sanitation procedures, ensuring that we have the safest working environment possible. Our members have been receptive to those changes and following new procedures well, wearing masks, etc. We are still meeting with new clients and scheduling phone consultations when possible and in-person meetings as well if needed. And we are limiting traffic, so we're not allowing visitors to the kitchen during this time, but again, we are still working with potential clients. June was the last month that we offered the cost share rental program, and we have already received the reimbursement from the Joint Economic Development Board. So that's good. That's completed. We're very grateful for that, as well as our members. July 1st, we hosted a virtual mentoring session with Tennessee Driving Innovation. So they are a business incubator out of Chattanooga. We had a relatively low turnout at this event, which I think it was just a tough topic to promote, virtual mentoring sessions during COVID, maybe not the best topic idea to begin with. So we're kind of brainstorming ways to use the funding from the TNECD grant so that we can have more engagement with potential entrepreneurs. But I'm not discouraged. I just think it's a timing issue. And then last, I want to update you on some upcoming purchases as part of the ARC Power Grant. So the second page on the handout is the updated purchase schedule. So let's see, we've kind of delayed with COVID purchases, but I think that we're gonna be able to meet our timeline. The next bundle that you will see, so it's my understanding that we do not need to bid out this lab equipment just because of the cost of purchase. But I wanted to update you guys just so you had an idea that that would be coming in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to be purchasing some lab equipment, pH meter, water activity meter, refractometer. So these are just analytical tools that our manufacturers, the sauce makers, barbecue sauce folks, the African ethnic sauce that we're producing, those folks would utilize. And then the next package, I don't know if we will need to bid or not, but we have learned that one of the vendors that we've previously worked with has won a state contract, so that we do not need to bid out those purchases. So they are the preferred vendor for the equipment for the state. So I think that we can use them, which is going to save us some time and a little bit of hassle. So I think that if, what I would do is just tell you guys about those purchases. Historically, we have voted on them through that bid process, but I think I'll just tell you about them and then maybe you get an email kind of okay, we see that we approve this and then go from there. But I think that'll be the best route forward for those next things. And then that's really it for my quick update plan.
Can I have a copy of that?
Lee, hasn't there been about 40 jobs created from the people using kids?
At least, at least.
40, $10 an hour, that's about $800,000 a year. On the people who spend. And also several brick and mortar businesses producing sales tax revenue also.
The way you have to look at it.
Are any of those located in Unicoi County?
We have a couple food trucks located in Unicoi County, but we do not have the brick and mortar folks that we have worked with in Unicoi County.
So the food trucks also travel the region.
They do. They
They're not
do.
dedicated to
Well,
any one area.
their taxes would be through their business, like wherever their business license is set up. So even if they're traveling, typically at the point of sale.
Taxes are paid.
I do wish some local people would take advantage of it. It is a regional incubator, but it would be nice if the local people would take advantage.
It'd be nice if there was regional funding for it too, some regional financial support.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you.
Parks and Recreation, Tourism, and Public Relations update. It's actually online.
Response way.
Can you
Okay.
hear?
That, there she is.
Okay, I'm here, guys. Well, it's a rough time for events right now, as you know, with the COVID. We did have or I guess kind of in the middle of this COVID stuff, we were able to do the Los Guacamayas ribbon cutting, and we had about 20 plus members of the media and the public in attendance at that. So I've seen a lot of cars there in the evening. We do ask that people continue to welcome them to town and patronize their business, please. We want to see them succeed. Our farmers market and community yard sale we were able to open that July 7th. So we are now open and running week to week based on, of course, what the COVID is doing. That's Tuesdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Now through the end of October, COVID willing. We're starting this week the Market Money program, and that's where somebody can earn a $3 coupon to exchange for homemade, handmade food items at the market. So if you'll go down to the Bogart Bowman cabin, there's a walking trail down there and there's a sign. And on that sign is a tube that has the coupons in it. And we ask that you walk a mile to earn that $3 coupon, and 4 laps around that track is a mile. So it's based on the honor system, but that's where the coupons are. And then you bring those up to the information booth there at the market, and Miss Trish will swap that out for a token. And you can use that token for $3 at one of our handmade food vendors. It can't be used at the food truck, and it can't be used at like the yard sale and the craft vendors, but it's still a really good opportunity. July 7th, we had 8 farm vendors, 2 craft vendors, 5 yard sale, 1 food truck, and 75 to 100 customers. So it was a good opening day. I think that really shows that people in the area don't have a lot of places that are open to go. So they're anxious to sell their wares. We do have COVID restrictions in place, including a mask requirement, spacing, one-way traffic. And so far, nobody's really complained about that. Everybody's complying pretty well. This past week, we were down just slightly by a vendor or 2, 7 farm vendors, 2 craft, 4 yard sale, and down a little bit in customers as well, 75 of those. Moving on to our movies in the park that we had planned to do. We just keep hitting snag after snag. July 10th was canceled because of rain. We couldn't move people onto the porch like we normally would because of the COVID. So we had to cancel that one. And the last Friday night rain date, we had to cancel because of a rise in recent COVID cases. So we're hoping to try that either again this next Friday or next week. we're really going to have to play that by ear. So we ask the public, please just help us spread the word that people really need to pay attention to the Facebook page. That and the Irwin radio station are really where we can get that information out quick as it changes. Because sometimes the decision's not made until, noon that day. So please ask people to check that pretty frequently for updates. For the August 7th movie, we're not going to be able to do the back to school blowout. I talked to the health department and it's just not a good idea with all that waterworks that we normally do. So we are going to have a movie and people can go on Facebook right now and vote for which movie they want to see, but we're not going to be able to do the back to school blowout portion, unfortunately. The fire department is going to come and park their truck so kids can kind of see it. It'll be on display, but that's the most that we've got for that. Other upcoming or canceled events: July's Ice Cream Social, October's Heritage Days and Fright Night on the Farm have all been canceled for 2020. Again, these decisions were based off of discussions with the health department. And we want to keep everybody safe, and they're expecting to see a rise in the fall as kids go back to school and the flu hits. So we're doing everything we can to keep everybody safe. We are working with Jeff. I have in my report that right now we're going to have the Pinnacle Trail, but it sounds like that might have changed in the last day or two. So we're working with them on that to see if it's going to be possible. Our clinch filled caboose, we have been working on that. Tyler has been really busy at his shop and has not had a chance to come do the smokestacks yet, but that's still on his agenda. I visited the Craggy Mountain Line over in North Carolina, June 25th, and I was able to see how they had everything set up. So that'll really help us in our planning and going forward on how we want to build a museum inside ours once it's finished. I was also able to see the different styles of paint and how long they can last, which ones are better. So I talked to Rocky about all that, and I finally got his official quote. We had, if you'll remember from last month, we had a previous submitted quote that just included sandblasting and priming of the caboose, no painting, and that was $5,700. Rocky can do the pressure washing, priming, and painting of the outside. Yes, French gray and red with yellow stripes. This option includes the priming and painting only, including the materials and the labor, and that's $4,500. Option 2 would be him also getting it ready. That means prepping the caboose, sanding it himself, then again, pressure washing it, painting, the whole nine, everything except the vinyl decals. And that would cost us $8,200. So we're kind of still comparing prices, as you can see. We're going to keep you updated as we go along with that to see how we want to approach it. As far as the website, we had to put that on hold while we have been planning events that have then gotten canceled, and while we've been working on the farmers market. So we're hoping to get back to that now that a decision has been made on some of these events. We're hoping to get back to that and get it out by the end of the summer. We're doing the best we can. We've had a lot of changes to it and additions. Something else that we're working on, and then I'll wrap up, is the Small Town America Civil Volunteer Award. I wanted to nominate 2 groups from Unicoi. We can, I think, nominate a couple. And so we're going to nominate the Ruritan and the Volunteer Fire Department for that award. And the winner, it's only for towns less than 5,000 people. And the winners, first, second, and third places will receive $10,000, $7,500, and $5,000 respectively, to the local government. So I thought that was a pretty neat prize for the government there. It could kind of help us out in some of these rough times. And we've got some really good groups, so I think that they could compete well. So the deadline for that is August 15th, and we will all keep our fingers crossed. And that, unless you guys have questions, is all I have.
Actually, I've got a question about the caboose. When you started talking about sandblasting, surely that paint's gonna have to get cleaned off of there and primed before it gets painted again. But what's the likelihood there's lead in that? That's gonna be a big environmental issue.
We're not really sure about the lead. Rocky has worked with it before, and nobody really suggests sandblasting it because of that possibility. We simply got the quote. It was offered to us by people that had seen us in the media. and had reached out to us. So we allowed them to give us that quote. So I don't think sandblasting is really, from what I've talked to the guys about, the option that they want to go with. But Rocky says that it's not an issue for him. Lead-based paint, he's done plenty of these cabooses and rail cars, and he said he doesn't plan on sandblasting it. He plans on just sanding it regular. So I'm not sure what else to say other than that. No decisions have been made. And I think that we're leaning more, or I don't know that we're leaning towards one or the other necessarily, but the reason that we quoted both is because if we don't prep the caboose for him, it's going to cost more for him to do it all, but it might be safer for him to do it all. Because if we prep the caboose ourselves with volunteer labor, then that's putting the public at risk. And then we really would need to look into lead-based paint and what it is. Whereas if we hire Rocky to do it, that's not something he's concerned about. He's done these projects before.
Okay, and then the length of the final coat of paint, if it's not prepped properly, it'll require more maintenance over time. Just all those factors are gonna factor in, I think. It gets more complicated.
Yes, in fact, that's one of the things that I looked at on my tour is he showed me some that had not been like sandblasted, or were not sandblasted, but just sanded at all. They had just had the paint applied right over the rust and everything. He showed me some that were done properly, and you could really tell the difference. I mean, the way they held up.
Absolutely. Okay, all right, thank you. Glad you're paying attention to all that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jackie, I'm sorry.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley.
All righty, Ashley. Get feeling better.
Thank you.
Police Department, Police Chief, Andy Slagle.
Hello. It's been an okay month this month. The guys has been going to, I sent 3 guys to DUI school in Johnson County. It was a free school through Tennessee Highway Safety Office, and it paid off already. Aaron, the day after he came back from school, he worked and got a DUI on Unicoi Drive.
He didn't get DUI, he caught somebody.
Yeah, he got some. He's got DUIs. That's like 6 for the past 2 months. We've been trying to get some of that DUI traffic. We worked 4th of July. It's actually a pretty good night on 4th of July. We had some misdemeanor traffic citations and stuff like that. Some speeders. We kept an eye on it down here and down in the village, and it was a good show. The citizens put on a really good show of fireworks. I only actually had 1 complaint of fireworks that night. Accidents were down again. We've recovered 2 stolen vehicles, both of them out of Johnson City. I got one up here on 173, and Aaron and Jimmy got one in Walmart parking lot. Got some meth out of that, some paraphernalia. Got a couple reckless drivings and a couple domestics, but other than that, it's been pretty much business as usual. Guys been really working hard. The training was really good training they're going to, so they went to, and they're going to definitely take advantage of that. Try to get some grunts off the road.
Thanks. Good job, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Municipal court report.
Municipal court docket, July 7th. Total amount of the citations, $4,735. At 23 speeding, 1 unregistered vehicle, an accident, property damage, equipment, parking on the right of way, failure to maintain lane, 2 texting, and failure to obey traffic control device.
Thank you. Then we'll give the recorder's report.
As Lois mentioned, these two ordinances that we had on the agenda are to be added to the codification, and the UTM task is finishing, and they're waiting on that to issue the code book. Update on the Buffalo Valley Connector Grant. Sometimes I see it called Unicoi Pinnacle Tower Trail segment. As I mentioned in the past, had Ken Ray with First Tennessee Development District see if he could extend the deadline for the grant, mainly because of cash flow purposes with everything that we have going on. He emailed me this past Thursday and said that the Appalachian Regional Commission approved extending the contract completion date for the Pinnacle Tower segment until January 31st, 2022, which is almost a year past the original completion date of February 21st, 21. The deadline of January 31st, 2022 will not be extended again, as ARC is legislatively has a hard deadline for those projects of 5 years, which also would end January 31st, 2022. So the project timeline would be to submit the plans and specs and all acquisition completed notes by September 2020. Approval of the plans and specs by state or ARC October 2020. And advertise for bid and bid opening November 2020. Award and reconstruction conference December 2020. Start construction January 2021. Construction period will be from February to December of 2021, and then we close out the project January 2022. I know that kind of seems like a long way away, but as we all know, it can go very quickly.
Problem will be the bid package. I mean, we don't get any bids in, it's that, bids.
Well, right now, we've gotten revenue in over the past several years of $23,069, and we've expensed $47,891. So right now, we're out of pocket $24,821. Update on the amphitheater. Right now, we have met with James Carden. The mayor and I met with them a couple of weeks ago, and we have asked them to redesign and not have a concrete stage, but have a wooden stage. We think that would be a better suited venue for different types of a variety of use for that stage. So we're waiting to hear back on that. We did get the 24,300, so we recouped 100% of everything that we put into that. And that showed up as a receivable for June, so the revenue would be reflected in the year that we requested the reimbursement. The RW Bridge TDOT project, I spoke with Jill Workman. She said that they're making good progress on the design of the bridge, and that the first structural submittal to TDOT was on June the 19th. She expects to receive initial comments from TDOT about mid-August. Right now, the town has spent $34,234 engineering costs, and there was additional engineering costs of $27,066 for a total engineering cost of $61,300 to wrap up the engineering phase before the project goes out for bid.
We get our money back. It's finished.
When it's real.
Dispersed it.
When we'll get the engineering costs back whenever the bids, when the bid is accepted. Now, I don't know how long that takes to get the reimbursement from TDOT. Probably at least a month, I would think. The next step would be to determine the right of way of the easement areas of the construction project. Once we have that completed, documents will be prepared to begin acquisition of property. I have no update on the Indian Creek Bridge so far. Lee gave you an update on the ARC grant for the kitchen. We've completed the paperwork that we received from the government grant on July the 8th,
and the ACH came into the bank account on July 16th. So our award was $108,938. This is the amount that we had budgeted for several projects in the 2021 budget, such as the drainage issue on Massachusetts, paving Elmore Road, guardrail on Carlton.
So you want to be able to, I mean, so you got somebody that's in charge now down there that keep us from getting too far behind on some of the projects we got going with the road department.
Terry.
Yeah.
I spoke with Terry today, and he just got out of the hospital. He is on a walker and you know, having some issues with his feet and legs, and some broken ribs and everything. But I'm not sure if anyone down there is, you know, doing other projects. I know that some of the, like the hole or the issue on Massachusetts that I called out when we sent a work order in June. They were telling me today, because I had talked, not today, like this last Friday, I talked to them about the asphalt situation. And they usually have to have about 2,000 pounds of asphalt that they need to do, you know, at once. That's the minimum amount that we get. So we've been calls a lot for the Massachusetts situation. Of course, that's, you know, part of the project that we want to address the culverts and things. I mean, he hopes to be back to work, you know, as soon as he can.
Knowing Terry, he'll be back, so probably already.
Yeah. As far as upcoming projects, we need to complete the paving that we had. We done 2/3 of the paving on Whispering Pines. So we still have a third left to do. And I was thinking that was around 30,000. I have to go back and look at my notes on that. And then we need to stripe that road. So until we figure out what's going on with this asphalt situation, you know, but that is on the list to do.
Oval Road.
Yeah.
I think that, once you got in down.
Yeah. On July 14th, the mayor and I had a conference call for Tennessee Development District and Grace Stalker with the Tennessee Advisory Commission Interlocal Rehabilitation for Infrastructure. This was a review of our current grants. We went through each one of those, told them the ones that had been completed. And then we reviewed grants for infrastructure needs for the future, such as paving and extending Wigan Road and widening Tennessee Street, railroad signals, widening St. Vincent, that sort of thing. So that's just kind of like an update. Our MetLife provider of our dental insurance had reduced our dental insurance premiums by 50%. They're doing that for the next couple of months. And I guess that's, you know, to help out with this COVID situation. Robert Moss, who was the financial overseer for the town, came in and last Thursday, I think, and reviewed all of our bank statements and journal entries from January to June. And so that was finished. We received approximately 60 resumes for the vacant position that we had here in the town. The mayor and I interviewed the top 5 candidates based on overall financial experience. We did have one candidate that stood out. She met all the qualifications that we were looking for, accounting and payroll. She also had 5 years of municipality experience. She served as a backup for the deputy clerk. Her name is Rhonda Clay. I think most of you all have met her. She started with the town on June 29th. She's starting her 4th week this week. She's handling accounts payable, cash receipts, payroll, and she's doing municipal court clerk responsibilities. She began training with the Courtware system and software on Friday. So she will start the municipal court side of the ticket process immediately. Andy's been using the courtware software system for inputting tickets for several months. And Rhonda will complete that process on the municipal court side. I wanted to thank Patricia Bennett for entering all the citations in the municipal court docket book. She entered 6 months of citations in about 3 days. And we really appreciate her helping out. We appreciate Lee helping out tonight. Of course, we always, depend on Ashley to do this, and she always does a great job. But we really appreciate Lee filling in at the last minute, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you to all of Lee and Patricia and all for this helping us get back on course. Are you ready to do the financial oversight report?
Sure. In your packets, you have a copy of the financials. Start with the balance sheet, general fund. We have a total of about $845,400 in different accounts in the deposit on the balance sheet. Now that does not include the $108,000 that we got in that came in this month. And what I plan on doing is keeping that separate so that we can, each time we do a project and based on what we budgeted, we'll pull that money from that $108,000. We'll keep up with it, monitor it pretty close. We go on to our revenue and expenses for the month of June. I think most everything has been posted. We're still doing a few year-end entries, but we still have utilities coming in. We wrote another check run today. That was utilities that went back to June. We're trying to match all the expenses to the appropriate fiscal year. So we're doing 2 check runs right now, one for June and one for July. We showed a loss in June of $45,103. Year to date, we have a net income of $18,339. If you counted what we spent in the engineering for RWA Estates region that we have not been reimbursed for, that we will get reimbursed for 100%, we could add back $34,234 to that number. Of course, we'll have year-end entries that will take care of the two due funds from the kitchen to the general fund. That will be a year-end entry that will balance out some of those accounts. Of course, I take her cash every month and put it in the general fund. On her expenditures, revenues, and expenditures for the month of June, her revenue was $11,390. Expenses were at $18,481. That showed a loss of $7,091. And year to date, we're looking at $90,567. And I think that, as I recall, I think it was budgeted $197,000 transfer to the kitchen from the general fund. So it looks like that's going to be about cut in half. So that's good.
Real good, real good.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, our local option sales tax came in at $60,000, better than the previous year, lower than 2 years ago. But it made the year for 1920 $855,803, and for the previous year was $770,317. And then in the 17-18 fiscal year is $736,500. State shared revenues for the 1920 fiscal year, we took in $340,863. Previous year was $319,975, and then 17-18 year $307,423. I did get the state shared revenue, came in on the 18th for July, and the sales tax was, it just almost mirrored
1 year ago for July. Now, we'll tell you that the income tax, which is what they refer to as the hall income tax, came in about half what had come in the year before. So we probably have budgeted a little bit too high for the upcoming year. I think we budgeted 7,500, and as you know, that revenue is going totally away. So that's it for the financials.
Even thanks for the way you did the report. You took a long way on our reports. I mean, it's so much easier for us slow people to understand. This was good.
Yeah, thank you, yes. Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the financial report. Further discussion? Call for question.
Alderman Boyd? Yes. Alderman Bradley? Yes. Alderman Lindsey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hopkins?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we're down to item 13. Tonight, it's review citizens' comments previously submitted. Debbie, do we have any?
No, we do not receive.
No comment previously submitted. Okay, item 14 is questions and comments from the public viewing electronically. Please make your comments no longer than 2 minutes, please. Do we have any?
This would be the point that anybody that wants to speak needs to press the raise your hand button. Or unmute yourself. Do you have anyone? Nope. Okay. All right. Doesn't look like it, Mayor.
No comment.
No comment. Okay, thank you very much. Under announcements, Lois would like to talk to us about Women's Suffrage Week.
Do, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. The Julia Stater John Carter chapter have requested the opportunity to put a women's suffrage display at Town Hall. And I wanted to make an announcement about it because I think some of you may not have seen it, because we elected to put it in the flower bed over here on Highway 107, just so the guys wouldn't have to move it and mess with it trying to mow. So anyway, if you haven't driven up Limestone Cove and looked to your left as you start up, there's a display up there. It has some yellow roses with it. And I wanted to tell you all a little bit about that story. I'm wearing my little yellow ugly roses pin here, and I've got some others if anyone would like one. This is a good story, and I just want to share it. This day and time, 100 years ago, women were still getting the right to vote in America. That's kind of hard to believe today, but the reality is my great-grandmother, my great-grandmother, my grandmother were not born in a time when they could vote. And that changed August 18th, 1920. And was as a result of a lot of hard work for about 72 from the time of the Seneca Falls Convention in New York until in 1919, the U.S. Congress had passed the 19th Amendment, which said voting would not be bridged based on sex. And then the question became, well, if that's a constitutional amendment, how are we going to get enough states to approve that? You don't know this story. Tennessee was the perfect third state. It was the state that passed the 19th Amendment and made it universal suffrage for women all across the United States. Women had been allowed to vote in some states in the West that had decided in years before that we'll let women vote, and maybe we'll come to places like Montana. But in most of the United States, Tennessee, women could not vote 100 years ago this month. So Tennessee, August 18th, passed and became the perfect 36th state that made women's suffrage possible. And so I just wanted to call that to your attention. Ask any of you if you want to check out that display, please feel free to go out there and do that. But how the yellow roses figure into it is, as the legislatures came to the legislature August 17th and 18th, the governor had actually called the legislature in a special session to look at it. And of course, it was a big deal. It was a big deal all across the country. But nobody expected Tennessee to pass this. So the legislators who were going into the hall who were against women's suffrage wore red roses into the hall. And that was a way that the press and other people keep track and count. There was a gentleman, Harry Byrne from Nova, Tennessee, who had worn a red rose into the hall the preceding day. And so he was counted among those who were going to vote against women's suffrage. The folks who were in favor of it were wearing the yellow roses, and that's how they kept track. The day of the vote, Mr. Byrne received from his mama a letter telling him to be a good boy, and he was a very young man, and vote for suffrage. And he was carrying that letter in his pocket when the vote was taken. He voted for it. He is the reason, and his mama's letter probably is even a greater reason that he voted for suffrage and women got the right to vote. It took until August 26th, 1920, for that vote to be enrolled and be sent on to Washington for women to actually have that right. But it's just a unique part of our Tennessee history and something that we ought to know about. I have got a yellow rose for any lady that would like to take one and tell this story to somebody, if you will. In 1 month, actually 1 month, a couple of days ago, we will pass that 100-year mark. And I also brought tonight a picture of a lady who's involved in this fight, Ann Dallas Dudley. This was a nationwide, not only nationwide, but international fight for women to get the opportunity to vote, or an effort, I should say. Ann Dallas Dudley was the president of the Tennessee Women's Suffrage League. She lived on until 1955, so she was contemporary of ours. She was a pretty young woman when this was going on, and so she was an activist for women's rights in a number of regards. But one of the arguments against women voting was the idea that only manly women wanted to vote. That real women, feminine women, women who had children didn't want to vote. Well, she became the poster mother for suffrage actually all across the United States. She had children, as this picture depicts, and there was a photograph done of her with her children that circulated all over the country to show that there were mothers who wanted to vote too. So that's one of your Tennessee citizens who lived up until most of the lifetime, most of us. And so I just want y'all to be aware of that. Have that little bit of history, because it is a unique role that Tennessee played, and we have the right vote. It's something to talk about.
Thank you, Lois.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody want a rose? I got some.
I do.
I got one for everyone. Oh, I want one.
Thank you.
Wear it.
Lee.
Particularly on the 18th.
Oh, goodness.
Okay. Right about on the look.
Oh. The bin and half. That's right. Thank you.
Need one.
I have one.
Yeah, I saw the ladies got one earlier.
Lois, thank you for calling everybody.
Right here. Well, thank you for letting us put up with this one.
Very, no,
People need to know more about our history, don't
And another Tennessee way to make the road. Okay, do we have any announcements?
I have one, just a reminder that Washington back here will be closed August the 4th through the 21st for the gas line testing.
Okay. Anybody else have any announcements?
Oh, we have the executive session after the meeting. We have the executive session after the meeting.
Okay, there will be an executive session after the meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
adjourned.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Stand adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Lee. We could have done it without you, see?
They got some.